Om Shanti.
Welcome, welcome, Caroline Hoek, to this special edition of Ask the Author for Magic and Miracles. Welcome.
Thank you, Andrea. Nice to be here.
And so good to connect with you once again. I am so inspired by your chapter in this book. It's been fun to read, but I'm like, wow, when you gave this title, A Drastic Intervention, you weren't kidding.
No.
So, part of your story takes place in Bali. Can we start there? Like, how was it that you got drawn to this energy healer?
Oh, I had met him way before I went there when the drastic intervention happened.
Yeah.
And it was, even there, it was magical because this man has powers beyond. And
like, what do you mean powers? How do you experience his powers?
he just feels what you need. And he's this the tiny Balinese man.
Yeah.
And what he does, he's an energy healer.
Okay.
And what you do there in is now called an ashram, is shake. So there is music, so you'd feel like moving. And it's the idea that you shake because then the energy in your body starts to move. And it's like water. When water stands still, it becomes muddy and you have a swamp. And with our energy, it's exactly the same. And it's not that we do it on purpose and you want to block stuff. It's just happening because we're having these limiting beliefs and we have traumas and we have illnesses and things that are like cluttered. So when you start to move, he walks around the room and he just feels where you need some more energy. And he can either come to you and touch you on the back or whatever he feels it's needed. And you really start shaking it beyond control, like really uncontrollable.
Wow.
And I saw him do this even with the Balinese people that live there and who have been in his energy much longer than I was. And they were literally thrown back. Like literally.
It reminds me of what I've seen, like these Qigong masters and, Kung Fu masters who can like move energy and knock down people without even, it looks like they're not even trying, like they know how to move energy.
Exactly.
And so you say in this chapter of the book that he has, that these sessions that you interact with are useful like for releasing blocks and helping you tune into the power of love. So you had experienced him before, but what was it that drew you to Bali at the time of this story?
Well, by then I was growing older and I found myself really stuck in wanting to be in control, having a lack of trust and really, putting my will to things, but then going too fast.
And I know what that's like.
And then missing the stop signs along the way. And it wasn't really doing my marriage any good. It wasn't really doing my, kids any good. It wasn't doing me any good. And then I thought, okay, let's go back again. And maybe this time I can just release some stuff and some anxious things because it was all from the past that, I was traumatized. And of course I knew with my head why I acted, why I did. And, it's my job also.
Right, you're a therapist, so know this. You know this stuff intellectually, right?
Only human, And so I felt, I could do with a little extra help.
And so you were reading a magazine, and then all of a sudden you see that.
Yeah, it was incredible because when I was there for the first time, he was just starting. And he had this old pig shed, and there were just some Balinese people. I think at that point I was the only Western woman there.
Wow.
But when I went back, it really had turned into an ashram. And I saw that because there was this article in a magazine Ratu Bagus or energy healing on Bali, and it really caught my attention. And I thought, what the bleep? Ratu has become really famous. Now I can go back and yeah.
Yeah, so it was that magical synchronicity of you being at a
Oh
point in your
yes.
life where you're like, something's got to change. You see that, and you decided to go to Bali on your own.
Oh, there and then. Yes. I didn't even really ask Hans, my husband. I just sort of made an announcement.
Right.
Yeah.
So what happened when you got there? Like you went through, even though you went with this intention and you had experienced it before, you still woke up with this feeling, with this kind of battle inside of you of, am I going to get up for this early, session or not? And how
Yeah.
did things unfold for you that ended up into a major drastic intervention and a spiritual, I don't know if you call it an awakening. I'll let you tell it.
I do. I call it an awakening. Uh, well, with this will,
Yeah.
like I come from psychosynthesis, and with psychosynthesis, we cut will in three pieces.
Oh,
So you have the good
yeah.
will to good, and then you have the will that is able, and then you have the strong will.
Mm,
And I have done a lot with my strong will.
yeah.
But if you really look on, maybe there are different ways on doing it, it becomes easier. So when I came to Bali and every morning at about 6, the alarm would go off.
Mm-hmm.
So I would rather stay in bed sometimes. And then I would use my strong will to get out, but it was also very good to reconnect with my motivation.
Mm.
Why am I here? And what do I want to perceive? And I was going to be there for like 2 weeks, and I really wanted to get everything as possible, as much that could be possible in this little time frame, actually, because it was quite a topic.
Yeah.
And so yes, 3 times, 3 hours shaking, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Not 2 hours shaking. So that's like 6 hours a day. So it was also a bit tiresome in the beginning.
Mm.
And it's Bali. Bali is also about relaxing and having nice walks and nice food and just enjoy the scenery. But I got out of bed anyway. And then in the afternoon, I did the same. In the evening, we did the same with the shaking. And there was this group, of course, helping each other. And so the energy grew stronger.
Yeah.
The love was there.
Right. So you had the support of other people. You're all there for the same reason to really
Yes.
like to 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 be fully present and active in this transformational journey. And you even
Yes.
decided to open up to having the experience with the tobacco. Tell me about that.
That's a whole different story because, I come from a background where my father was an alcoholic. So for me, that also had to do with control and losing control if I was to use a substance.
Right.
So I was a bit tight-assed with, using, if I may use the word,
You just
using,
did.
yeah, using alcohol and smoking weed or whatever. And then I thought, using tobacco, what might happen? I might really lose control then,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe do something that later I would regret. But of course, this is a whole different ballgame because this is the holy tobacco, and it's like in the shamanistic ritual. It was really blessed by Ratu Bagus, and it's really helpful to just go a bit deeper and not really going in a different state of mind, but really just go a bit deeper. And so one morning I woke up and I knew I really want to use this because I saw the difference. I saw what was happening with the people around me who used it.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, I'm going to.
And it helped. It helped you
It
really
did.
let go and break free, as you said.
It did. It really did.
So let's get to this part of the story that you share in the book about the night before you were actually going to return home. You went on a walk with a French
Well,
woman.
it was in the morning actually.
Oh,
Yes,
okay, the day before. Got it.
think before I was about to leave, and and I felt the urge to leave the ashram because it was surrounded by these lush green paddy fields, and they were like calling, and I wanted to go for this walk. And this Margot, French woman, she really knew her way around. And since I was going to leave the next day, I thought, okay, now I can just go and leave. And although Ratu had already sort of warned and said, I'd rather not want people to leave while you're in the process. But I thought it would be safe.
Yeah.
And so I went for the walk.
And you fell. And you broke your back in 8 places.
Yes, I did.
But this also led to some really big realizations. So tell me about that.
Yeah, well, long story short, because there was a lot of stuff happening. But when I went back home after a few weeks of being in rehab in a hospital in Kuala Lumpur, I felt intrigued by what had happened. And because there was also one thing that I have learned with psychosynthesis is not to identify with the body, to identify with feelings, your emotions or thoughts. And that was already handy because I was laying in this hospital bed like in agony. It was really hurting, obviously. But there was also this feeling of joy and gratefulness from, I don't know, from the first moment that I knew I was still alive.
Wow.
Yeah, and that I knew I would survive. So that was really, incredible to see, especially for the people surrounding me, I must add. Because for me, I was just happy.
Yeah.
And just,
Yeah, so suffering that fall, having to be transported, moved to another country, getting all of this rehab attention. And then you say that in your chapter here that as soon as you were able to get into your car again, you drove up to see a woman who is who channels messages. And you just wanted to find out what were the messages for you. And do you mind if I read a little bit of it?
Oh, please go ahead.
All right. So you mentioned that you got up there, and as you approached her apartment, you started to feel excited, nervous even, eager, but also a bit scared to hear what those angels had to say. While Femme, the woman you're talking about, listened to the dictation, she typed a letter. And so Caroline says, I sat in front of a monitor and saw the letters slowly turning into words, and the words turning into a profound message. Quote, you have been saved, dear lady. This always brings about a change in existence, a rapid one even, as if time isn't that important anymore, and you will never, ever be the same as you were before. So what is this about? What is this power concern? Who are you and where are you going? What is it that wants to be expressed within you? That such a drastic intervention was needed to bring you to your senses and hopefully keep you there. Like, whoa. So this is what she's channeling, this message, and as she's typing it, these questions like, what does this mean? What does this mean? So how did you experience that? What was that like?
First, I was confused. I thought, like, so what's happening here? What is the point they want to make? Because I felt I was like okay, and I didn't know what I had to learn exactly. And then all of a sudden, I realized that I have been doing so much on my own. And I realized that there is so much loving guidance that I could open up to. It was beyond words.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. I so relate to this, Caroline, because I've been on that path in my early life of being just go, 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 strong will, make it so, make it happen. I don't need to worry about anybody else, just, and you do get to a point where life says, honey, there's an easier way. And unfortunately, I'm a little bit like you. I've had to like bonk my
Yeah,
head
exactly.
to finally wake up to realize there's a
Yeah.
whole nother aspect of life that can open up to us.
Yes.
And so these messages that were being channeled through this woman to you about connecting to source, connecting to love, how did you move on from that?
Well, she said maybe A Course in Miracles would be a nice book for you. And the
Mm,
thing is, I have heard about the book 10 years prior to
yeah,
that point. And then I thought, okay, now I just go for it.
yeah,
I, I bought it. I started to read. I got sort of addicted to the messages because it's so profound.
yeah,
So I started to read A Course in Miracles and really understand what it's all about, because being this transpersonal psychotherapist, I knew it was about awareness and taking full responsibility for your actions.
mm,
But this took me really to a much deeper level in understanding that it's what not only me driving
yeah.
and steering the wheel, there was also somebody else. And that if I took time and made space to listen to that, then actually I would never be alone.
Mm,
And I've never felt alone anymore. I can be alone, but I never feel lonely.
yeah.
And it really deepened my knowledge of that actually there are only two choices that you can make. One is out of fear and the other one is out of love.
Mm,
And it's
wow.
actually so simple.
So simple. And so that's allowed you to even bring in more of that sort of wisdom to your practice in what you're doing now
Yes,
with good life guidance, right?
yes, exactly. Yeah, I now even facilitate groups about A Course in Miracles. People
Hmm.
that are really inspired by it. And yeah,
And so part of what your work now is you say you want to help people, tap into this sense of inner leadership. Tell me more a bit about that, because I see like that transition for you from being the willful leader to really tapping into
yes,
this inner guidance. How do you help
yeah.
people there?
I help them through these questions when people come and they are in not such a happy space. I ask them to at least look at, so the choices that you are making, are they out of fear or out of love?
Hmm.
But I feel it's also important that we all have those inner voices like, oh, now I need time, or I want to have time for my hobby, or no, but I cannot because I still have a laundry to do, or no, but my friends want me to come over tonight. And so there's all this push and pull around us.
Yeah.
But then we have those sub-personalities, we call it in psychosynthesis, or archetypes. And we are built from that, and we can be the inner leader of this inner orchestra. So if we want to orchestrate our inner voices, we have to be aware of who is listening to these voices.
Mm.
Who is going to choose what is the right step to take. And if you align your inner leader with this Holy Spirit, how I call it, because that's the language in A Course in Miracle, and I feel very at ease with the language, then all of a sudden things start to flow more,
Mm.
and you get more the feel of it's okay to claim my own space, and it's okay to say no. It's very healthy actually to say no, and it's even very good to say no, so I can teach the people around me how to be the loving presence of in my own life,
Mm.
saying no and holding my boundaries.
I love that. I love it because this idea of allowing ourselves to listen to the voices without judging them, that was a big thing for me for so long, that I judged myself for having a mean voice or a jealous voice. And it's like, no, I'm just going to align with Source or Holy Spirit, my higher self, whatever we call that, so that I can be the leader of the orchestra. I like that. I'm a musician, so I like that
Yeah,
analogy that sometimes the little jealous voice, I just need to listen to her and say, why, what's underneath that, but without giving into it.
exactly. Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Caroline, I so thank you for being willing to share this miraculous story in the book, and definitely pick up a copy of Magic and Miracles to read a little bit more about what she got through this download from this angelic channeling. And you can also download a free ebook and listen to some guided meditations that Caroline has for you. Just visit goodlifeguidance.com. Awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. Well, I look forward to coming to one of your events and being there as you're showing people how to take this wisdom and embody it. That would just be
Mhm.
wonderful for me to experience.
Thank you, Andrea. Yes. Thank
Awesome.
you. It's a lovely conversation.
It is. I love connecting with you. We have so much to explore. I feel like every time we talk, you reveal a little bit more. And I'm like, wait, I didn't know that. I didn't know that about you. Obviously, that's how friendship works. We discover things in time. So I look forward to also having a conversation with you about the other book that you're participating in, Life After Trauma, which is a whole nother story. But once
Yeah.
again, I want to thank you, Caroline Hoek, for your contribution to my life and to these books and to everyone who you're touching with your company, Good Life Guidance. Thank you. Did you enjoy that interview? I sincerely hope so. If you did, remember to click that like button and share this video with someone else who needs a little positivity sprinkled into their life. And please do support the author by purchasing the book at your favorite bookstore. If you or somebody you know would like to spread your own message to the world, then check out our publishing options online at makeyourmarkglobal.com. We specialize in helping healers, coaches, lightworkers, and other soulful entrepreneurs who want to share their message with a global audience. We also do speaker training and authentic personal branding. I look forward to connecting with you again, and until then, remember, my friend, you are a gift to the world. So share your presence with passion. Much love.